All right, hey guys. So, have I got a story to tell you? So, my name's Charlene. This is indeed my channel, and we have one hell of a story to tell. I'm going to try and break it down the best I can. This is an ongoing thing. There is a legal file um, that I have started, so I do have um, one lawyer looking into it, and I'm looking at possibly a second because there's a lot to there's a lot going on here, and there's a lot of people involved, a lot of people, and they've all chose me as their target. So um yeah, lucky me. So anyways, we're going to get into as much as we can, and I'm going to share as much as I can. I cannot share any new information that comes up in the proceedings to follow, but I was documenting a lot of it on my Facebook page because they couldn't stay out of my Facebook page, so I made it all about them. I started documenting everything, their jobs, where they live, who they are, what they look like, what they were up to. So, I mean, everybody knows most of what I'm going to say. But like I said, there is proceedings underway, and I cannot share any new information that comes up. So, let's try and find the beginning because I believe this is going on a lot longer than I realize. And I can only talk about from the point that I finally clued into what they were doing. And to this point, I still don't understand why or what, the base of what they were trying to do. But it's not good. It's not good. They really tried to get me locked up into some stuff that is so outside my realm. It's not even possible. Um, so let's try and get it from the beginning. Um, so May 2020. Oh, we're gonna go back to March. So March 2020 is when COVID hit. March 1st, I moved into a brand new apartment, and by May, I make eye contact with one of the guys in the shop. It's a black haired man, short black haired man, and he's driving an old school brown Dodge from the back of the shop out to the front parking lot. And we catch eye contact as he's kind of pulling into the lot. I was walking my dog, and she was doing her thing, so we were stopped. And as he pulled in, we made eye contact, for a couple seconds, and I thought nothing of it. I've been single 20 years. I'm thinking nothing. It's not even crossing my mind. Um, but we caught eye contact. That's whatever, right? A couple months later, um, I want to say June, July-ish, me and another one of the guys start making eye contact. Little skinny guy, curly hair, hat, and we're making googly eyes. Now, mind you, there's a good distance between the two of us. He's on him one side of the street at the back of their shop, and I'm at the other end of our building on our side of the street. So I mean, there was no connection in between. Like nobody's talking, nobody's communicating, like none of that stuff, right? We're just googly eyes back and forth. It is what it is. This goes on for a few months. Winter comes, and he disappears, and that's cool. It is what it is. It was cute. It was fun. Um, but like I said, I've been single 20 years. I think nothing of it. It's cute. So that winter, my son, I believe that's the year my son bought a treadmill, and I get on the treadmill, and I had had an accident about a year or so before. So when I moved into this unit, I was literally just learning to walk upright again. I was down for quite a few months, and then it took me a good few months to teach myself how to walk all over again. So, um, I had way too much going on my plate to even worry about, what some dude's staring at. I think nothing of it, like I said. So I get on this treadmill. I'm doing good for myself. I'm trying to get myself back to me. Pre-accident. So that was my full intention. And spring comes, and through those 4 months of winter, I had lost over 50 pounds. So spring comes, out I come, completely different person. I'm 50 pounds less. I'm in blue jeans. I'm wearing little tank tops again. I'm wearing my sandals. You know, my whole demeanor's changed. I'm feeling great. I'm back to myself. And this is where stuff really starts to get weird. So I end up buying myself an electric bike, and I start. No, I'm going to even go back a little bit before that, because spring 2021. So in the back of my building, there's a street. Imagine that, and down that street is one of their houses. And I start noticing a bunch of people coming from that direction, slow rolling past my window, and they're staring in my windows. I'm outside, they're calling me, you know, the B word, the S word, I'm a home wrecker, I'm a, the W, and I'm like, you people are, I don't know who these people even are at this point. But now I'm going for walks. I'm going living my freaking life. I had actually started a soaping business. So I mean, well, through COVID, I decided to rebuild that business into something a little more sustainable, and minding my own business, still doing my thing. I still have way too many things to worry about than worry about some dudes. Um, but I start noticing guys from that shop are following me around, and I'm, it's kind of weird. It's weird, right? But I'm still paying no attention because I'm not clicking into who these people are yet. I'm just noticing, that I'm being called these names in public, and I'm being watched, and I'm being followed, and everywhere I go seems to be somebody that's in my space, and it's just feeling really kind of weird. I listen to my intuition. You should too. And if it wasn't for my intuition, I wouldn't have caught on to a lot of their crap. So I start noticing that they're watching and they're following, and I'm getting called names and what have you. And at this point, we're about 2 months in, and I the women at social services, which were downstairs from our apartments, they used to we all used to share the same smoke pit out back. And we get to talking and stuff like that, and I decide I'm going to ask one of these women if they happen to know anything about the guys across the shop, because I don't know, right? I start talking to her about it, letting her know what's going on. Um, the next thing I know, it's picking up. I have even more men watching. I have even more men, in my space. I'm getting called more names, and I'm like, what's kind of happening here? Still, nobody's saying boo. They're all just carrying on their nonsense, and watching and following and stalking and calling me names, stuff like that. And trying to pay no attention to it. Um, and then I start noticing these these vehicles that are watching and following and whatnot are going to the shop across the street. And I'm thinking, well, that's kind of weird. Like, what's that all about? So, it rides for a little bit longer, and I decide to go up to the cop shop, and I'm going to talk to them about it. And um, I talked to two women. Now, what ends up happening out of that is nobody gets back to me. Nobody's discussing anything with me. No phone call to say, you know what, we talked to so and so or anything like that. Um, but now I'm noticing the guys are really, now it's getting heavy. Um, and I get a prank phone call that night from some guy, and he's heavy breathing on the line, and I'm like, okay, what? And when I came back from the cop shop that day, before I even got home, when I got home, there was a cop sitting in their parking lot. And I thought, well, that's kind of weird, you know? But that cop ends up sitting there for 3 days afterwards. So I know something's up. Right now, it's all starting to click in. Something is up with that shop, that cop shop, and that woman from the social services office. Something starts connecting, right? And that's at the point where I start saying, okay, you know what? Shut your mouth and start watching, because you're going to start seeing a lot of stuff. Keep your ears open. You're going to start hearing stuff, right? You have five senses. Pay attention to them, right? Um, so this is all kind of starting to swarm, and it's getting heavier and heavier. And I'm thinking nothing of it. So now we're 6 months in, and I used to ride my bike. I bought an e-bike, and I used to ride that to the park. And I start noticing these vehicles from that shop are now watching me at the park. That's not weird at all, right? That's totally normal, of course, right? Um, and then I notice there's one specific vehicle that is at that park every time I go there. And he follow me to the park. He's at the park when I get there, and by the time I get home, that vehicle is sitting outside my window. And this goes on with him for 6 months straight, every day. Um, and I know what he looks like too. So everybody I'm talking about in this video, I do know what they look like, and I do know somewhat of where they belong and who they belong to. But it all starts with that shop. So I want to say around September, October-ish, I go back to the cop shop, and I have documented so much stuff, and I have it on sheets. And I'm going in and I'm thinking, you know what, you're probably not going to get another answer, but I'm going to go in anyway because I want to see their reaction. I want to see if they do anything, because they didn't do anything the first time, and I ended up getting a prank phone call. So I go in and I got sheets of documentation. And, as I'm telling him this and that, he's not even wearing his name tag. He's not even wearing his name tag. He came in there completely anonymous, which is basically against police protocol. You are not to be outside of your badge at any point in time when dealing with the general public. So that's the first thing I noticed that was off, and I'm thinking, why no name tag? Well, something's not right here, because the first cop had sat in their parking lot after I made the complaint. Nobody got back to me, but they sat in their parking lot for 3 days. So this visit with this cop, I'm not expecting much. I want to go in. I want to get a reaction. I want to get, I want to read something here, because there's clearly something up. And he basically sits and laughs right in my face. So, um, I'm asking, and they're watching me, they're taking videos, shit like that. I'm like, this is normal. He's like, yeah, of course, you can do whatever you want in public. Oh, okay. So if I do the same thing, then that's okay. And he says, well, no. So, but you just told me that it was okay for them to do it, but now you're telling me that I can't. And he laughs in my face. Okay, so this is where we're at. Okay, okay. So he writes nothing down during this whole visit there. And he says at the end, he says, with a big grin on his face, he says, so what do you want me to do about it? And I looked him right back in his face, and I said, absolutely nothing. I don't want you to do anything. I got you. I got you. I know, and I'm reading you, and I got you. So, I go home, and it starts to pick up. And next thing I can't even go over to the Timmy's. I go over to Timmy's, and I have, they're shit talking. They're saying shit to my face. They're saying shit behind my back. But you know what? I can't even say they say shit to my face. They're saying it around me, right? Not one of these people has ever confronted me. Not one of these people has ever said shit to my face. It's all this behind my back and all swarming around me. Now, I want to wait until I break this down on who these people are into separate videos. So I'm going to just carry on at this point. So this goes on and on and on, year goes on. 2023, I finally decided, you know what? I'm done. I'm sick of looking at their ugly mugs, and it's time to go. I need change. I'm just gonna move the fuck on. So I make my plans. I sell all my shit, um, and I move to Vancouver, which is where I am now. These people followed me every train station stop that they could. My son and I came from Ontario to Vancouver by train. It took us 3 days. And these folks stopped at every train stop possible and sat and waited and watched me at every one. So, now I'm catching on to this. Like, oh, so you're following me, right? Well, now I'm wondering, well, how far are you following? We get off the train here in Vancouver, and they're sitting in the parking spot waiting for us to come out of the building. Literally sitting in the parking lot waiting for us to come out of the building. I went, okay, all right. So now you're here too. Okay, cool. So what ends up happening is um, my son and I, we find a really nice Airbnb, and we're there for 7 weeks, I think. We stayed in this Airbnb. It was a beautiful home, absolutely stunning. And that's why we stayed there. We just kind of planned it out and stayed there until we both had jobs. And then we moved on. Um, they sent their people into the Airbnb to watch me while I was in the Airbnb. They watched me come and go from work every day. They followed me to my patient's home and pulled some shit one night outside of my patient's home. They pulled into her lot, flashed high beams into her home. They followed me to my other patients. They watched me on the bus. They watched me transfer from the C bus to the bus. I mean, I have not had a day where these people have not been in my face for 4 years now. So now I'm hyper vigilant. I don't want to say vigilant because I already know who they are, right? That's just the thing. But now I'm just kind of, I'm watching. I'm taking details. I'm watching vehicles. I'm watching where. I'm watching who. I'm watching what they're doing. Um, and yeah, so it's completely carried on. We end up moving into a really nice house, and these people are around my house every day. There's a big parking lot that was right out front of my house by the PNE on Hastings. Um, so they used to always come in and they would circle the parking lot and do donuts and flash their high beams into my house and just sit in the parking lot and watch me. They had friends on the street who they watched me too, and things like that. So I start paying attention. I'm still just watching faces. I'm still just watching behaviors. And what more do you do, right? I'm thinking, okay, you got to be getting fucking tired of this shit soon, right? Nope. No, like I said, we're 4 years strong and they're still coming. So, I've been intimidated. I have been told that they're gonna send me to hell faster than I expect. Um, I've got people shoving me around on the streets. I've got people shoulder checking me. They're watching me on my lunch breaks when I'm out of my patients' homes. So, it hasn't stopped. So I just said, screw it, and started documenting everything about them. Everything comes out, and I start putting it up on Facebook. Um, they've attempted to hit me in vehicles. Everything they possibly could, you know. So that's basically where we're at now. Um, Last summer, May 31st, my son and I ended up homeless. They had my son fired from his job. They had him transferred to one of their friends' shops, and then they harassed him daily, and then ended up firing him. and that ended up making us homeless. So we ended up on the streets, we ended up in a shelter, and now I'm in a halfway house because I had another incident happen while I was at the group or at the shelter. So they ended up putting me into protective care. And that's basically where I'm at now. And it's got no protection regarding any of these people. These people I'm not concerned about. They are who they are. They've been going on for so freaking long. It's just life. Um, but there was some concern for my safety because of what had happened at the shelter. So um, that's why they placed me where I am now. And that's basically where we're at. So we're just moving on from here. And this is where the court case starts. This is where we're going to start building this case. And like I said, I want to see them in a in a courtroom. I want to stare them dead in their face while I hear everything that they've done and all the people they've involved and all of it, all of it. So that's video one. That's a quick breakdown. Video two, I'm going to break down who these people are, the vehicles, things like that. I'm going to get into who some of these people are. So I hope you stick around, hit subscribe, because this is only going to get better and better and better. And it just gets even better. So hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao, guys.